Good afternoon to those that listen. It's November 24th, 5:20 or 5:46 p.m. And oh man, it was really super dense fog on my way home. There was no forecast for fog at all. And last night, early this morning, it was like 2 in the morning. The fog started coming in, and right away I started sneezing. I did not go outside at all, but I was sneezing, and all night I just been sniffling and sneezing. It's like, ugh. And then it got a little bit better, but then I guess it cleared up for a little while, and we were just supposed to have light rain only. And then on my way back, it got really super foggy all of a sudden. And I mean, it was so thick that you could barely see ahead of you. And I was like, oh my goodness, and I'm driving 55 miles an hour. But there wasn't many people on the highway, so that was good, but it was crazy. And then I looked at the forecast, and now it says we're supposed to have fog all the way through until noon tomorrow. And I'm like, I remember back in the day, it would be rare to get fog, and then if it got fog, you'd have it for a few hours in the early morning, and when the sun came out, it would, dissipate. And then you wouldn't see fog for a long time. And I remember I did a video about that when all the fog was happening like a year ago. I looked it up, and it said that we usually get fog in Iowa 12 times a year. So that's like once a month. It's not very often. But I remember there was like a whole entire week in a row where it was just fog every day. It was weird. And then we had here, where I'm at now, we had 3 days in a row. We had like 2 days where it was clear again, and now we're back into the fog again. So then it was weird. I'm looking on YouTube, and Minutes of Horror is doing a thing about the fog. So I'm like, what in the world? So my sister, who lives in Florida, says she has fog. And back in Davenport, my friend says, yeah, there's a lot of fog there too. It's like, so do you guys have fog in your area? It's just really weird that all this fog, and I mean, don't mean just fog, I mean dense, thick fog where you can barely see. It's crazy. So let's take a look at what he has to say here. They said he's some kind of a drones that can make fog. So I thought that was kind of weird. Arms in diode cathedral configuration. Weird.
You see it right here.
This is from NASA?
27367, which is utility fog. I had spoken about this because more and more people again are seeing these strange fog they saw back in 2024. Like for example, this video right here.
The fog just like last year.
Yeah.
You remember that last year around this time we had this wicked fog like all around that looks
Those
like
weird particles in the air.
Riding this shit. I mean,
Yeah, when I see fog, I don't go outside. At least I try not to. I wasn't expecting it to be foggy today, so that's why I didn't go, or I wasn't expecting it. Otherwise, I wouldn't have went.
Anybody have this going on? This is Southern Illinois right now.
Southern Illinois
I'm
here.
outside, like no joke.
Wow.
This does not look.
I might have to
like
get the
fog.
flashlight out and check, but I don't know.
It's more of a function,
Jeez.
doesn't matter. Alright, so see, it's just really thick, really bright. It's been 5 days like this.
5 days.
But
I don't like it when it's foggy now because I think they're doing something to the fog, especially when I've been sneezing. And when I got home, I started sneezing again.
It ain't moisture.
So a friend of mine said, hey, you better take a shower, get that stuff off your body. So I did. I took a shower.
This is like aerosol, man. This is like, look at this.
What are we breathing in, man? What are we breathing in?
Anybody tell me what the fuck? Bro, it's just, I don't know. I'd like to know. Anybody else having this issue? This is.
I don't know if it's that bad. Wow. I'll have to check when it gets a little bit darker. It's just sun going down now. Well, I guess half hour ago.
But going back to this NASA article, they said in a nutshell that they have these tiny robots with
Utility fog.
nanotechnology that can dynamically change its form and properties and become basically water droplets, become fog that you can breathe in. And you would not notice. You wouldn't notice any difference from the other air you breathe. Now,
Yeah,
and here's what I did not pick up on in the last video, because
try not to breathe too much of it.
Fog should be capable of simulating most everyday materials, dynamically changing its form and properties, and forms a substrate for an integrated virtual reality and telerobotics. But here's the part I really wanted to talk about, this part right here where it says, to understand why we would want to fill the air with microscopic robots, only to go to so much trouble to make it seem as if they weren't there. Consider the advantages of a TV or a computer screen over an ordinary picture. Objects on the screen can appear and disappear at will. They are not constrained by the laws of physics. The whole scene can shift instantly from one apparent locale to another. Completely imaginary constructions not possible to build in physical reality could be commonplace. Virtually anything imaginable could be given tangible reality in a utility fog environment. Why not instead build a virtual reality machine that produces a purely sensory but indistinguishable version of the same apparent world? The fog acts as a continuous bridge between actual physical reality and virtual reality. The fog is a universal effector as well as a universal sensor. Any real object in the fog environment can be manipulated with an extremely wide array of patterns of pressure, force, and support, measured, analyzed, weighed, cut, resembled, or reduced to bacteria-sized pieces and sorted for recycling. So from what I'm getting from this is that these nanoparticles, these nanobots, can have us seeing fake things, but we can interact with it as if they are real, tricking our brains into believing what we're touching and feeling is no different from an actual object. Or it could just mean that it just produces fake images. And we can see this with our own two eyes. Let's say, for example, there's a big event that happens. Let's say there's an attack, and they have an object smash into a building. Well, perhaps this object never existed, and they destroyed the building by other means. But with our own eyes, we saw the object. But these nanoparticles can make it seem like the object exists, but it was never there. This is what I mean when I say they have a version of AI that's far more powerful than the version of AI that we use as the public. Because we, as the public, we have to use AI on a computer and manipulate what we see on a computer. But their AI can manipulate what we see outside the computer. And the pushback I got in that last video was that they would never release something like this because they, who are releasing this, would also be breathing this in too. And I said, no, that's not the case. They would release this in just localized areas. Matter of fact, they say that right here. They say that it will be necessary in general to arrange the overall control of the fog to be extremely distributed, as local as possible, robust in the presence of failure, when we realize that a single cubic inch of fog represents a computer network of 16 million processors. The concept of hierarchical control with human oversight can be seen to be hopelessly inadequate. Agoric distributed control algorithms offer one possible solution. So as you can see, they're going to put this in localized areas, and maybe they have been doing this for quite some time now, because again, this article went back to 1993. 93. This next video from article talks about how they're finding these microplastics inside the human brain, and maybe it's these nanobots.
Study says human brain samples contain an entire spoon's worth of nanoplastics. That's insane. So human brains contain higher concentrations of microplastics than any other organs, according to a new study, and the amount appears to be increasing over time. Oh boy. In the study published Monday in the journal Nature Medicine, University of New Mexico health science researchers found microplastics in human brains have increased 50% over the past 8 years. They also found that people with dementia had up to 10 times as much plastic in their brains as everyone else. So microplastics are tiny fragments of degraded polymers that are found in the environment, including our air, water, and soil. Previous studies have already shown these substances have made their way into the human body. Now, the lead researcher, toxicologist Matthew Campen, said the rate of accumulation they found mirrors the increasing amounts of plastics waste on the planet. And he said in the news release that their findings should trigger alarm about the potential impact on human health. I have yet to encounter a single human being who says, there's a bunch of plastic in my brain and I'm totally cool with that, he said. Seriously. Now, the study compared liver, kidney, and brain tissue samples from autopsies conducted in 2016 and 2024 and found substantially higher concentrations in the
That's
2024
terrible.
brain tissue. The researchers also conducted similar analysis on older and more recent autopsies for people who died with confirmed dementia diagnosis.
All right, that's it on that. That's crazy stuff. But anyway, be careful if you're going out inside and there's fog. Not saying that, there's stuff in there, but there could be. And we don't want to breathe in stuff that's going to make us sick and who knows what else. Sneeze, for one example. Jeez, I've been sneezing my nose off. Crazy. All right, just to be alert. Thanks for watching. God bless.